Pleasant morning, our beloved children. How are you today? Are we all good? Okay, so before anything else, let's have a prayer first. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, Amen.
Everything I am, everything I am, everything I be, everything I be, I give it to you, Lord. I give it to you, Lord, and do it thankfully, thankfully. Everything I have, everything I have, all you given me, all you given me, I give it to you, Lord. I give it to you, Lord, and do it thankfully, thankfully. Every song I sing, every praise I bring, everything I do is a gift to you. Is a gift to you. Is a gift to you.
In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, Amen. May the Lord bless and guide us in everything we do. So, welcome back to Unit 4, entitled Learners with Additional Needs. Last meeting, Teacher Praise discussed about the learners with difficulty in communicating, together with Miss Charmin or Teacher Charmin with the learners of difficulty in walking and moving. Then Teacher Christy talked about learners with difficulty in remembering or focusing. Due to run out of time, we will continue it right now, and I will discuss my part as well. So, relax and keep listening.
Thank you so much, Teacher Faith. Good morning, class. I am Teacher Christy, and this morning we will tackle about learners with difficulty remembering and focusing. So when we say difficulty in remembering and focusing, class, it is something about forgetfulness, amnesia, or absent-minded. So speaking of forgetfulness, we always tend to label a certain individual as being old, who is always experiencing and forgetting things even at their young age. So having this kind of behavior, especially in children, is somehow an alarming condition since it seems not normal to a child who is experiencing this behavior. So on the next slide, we will know what are the exact terms used for children who have difficulty remembering and focusing. So here, as you can see on your screen, these are the official terms that are often used for children who have difficulty remaining focused on a task that they are capable of doing. So these terms are attention deficit disorder or ADD, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD. So when we say deficit, class, it means loss. So attention deficit means loss of attention or having difficulty to remain focused. So class, have you encountered children having this kind of disorder? Okay, so then we will find out what are these two terms all about. So here, we will know the difference between ADD and ADHD. So when we say ADD, class, it is attention deficit disorder. So it refers to a child who is not acting out or moving around. So this means that these children may seem lazy or uncooperative due to their behavior, which is daydreaming. or in other words, they are absent-minded to the point that they get little done in the amount of time allotted. Also, it means that children with ADD class can have problems like completing their homework, or they are prone to procrastination in doing tasks. Also, problems when it comes to learning or how to stay organized at home and school and with social relationships. So second is ADHD, or Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. So these children class are generally hyperactive. So hyperactive class, it means extremely active. So these children class have opposite behavior compared to ADD, but still having difficulty in focusing things since they are always moving or running around that they themselves cannot even control their movements. So these children with ADHD class always do things in a hurry and some parts of their body always appears to be moving, which keeps them quiet, distracted. Also, these children are usually easy to spot in a group compared to ADD. So because they are always moving, unlike with ADD children. So again, class, attention deficit disorder are daydreamers, absent-minded, and may seem lazy and uncooperative, while ADHD are hyperactive, like they are always moving or running. So now, let's proceed to ADD checklist. So listed below class are the indicators that a child or a certain individual has an attention deficit disorder or ADD. So first is distractibility. So children with ADD class have a lower level of brain arousal. So when we say brain arousal, it gauges how alert or awake you are, how well you sleep, and has been linked to your cognition, emotion, and behaviors as well. So which in turn decreases their ability to screen out distractions like excessive daydreaming. So second is no persistence with a task. So since ADD children class are inattentive, therefore they appear to be slow in finishing work or in following directions. So it is hard for them to continue their activities or to finish their tasks. So third is inconsistency in performance from one day to another. So meaning their performance is not consistent, and this is due to their symptoms of excessive procrastination and forgetfulness. So next is excessive daydreaming during a school-related task. So as what I have mentioned earlier, that ADD children always have a hard time fulfilling their task due to excessive daydreaming. So by that, they always experience procrastination of many things. So also, this children class needs to have mom next to him or her in order to finish work. So parents who have ADD children must support their children by maintaining a positive attitude, communicating them with clear and simple rules and expectations that they can easily understand and follow in a form of rewards and consequences. So by that, ADD children will respond well with that kind of support system as long as the consistency is there. So for example, when helping your child finish her homework on time, so you have to pick a specific time and place for homework that is free from clutters, pets, and television, since ADD child class easily get distracted with the things around them. So allow the child breaks as often as every 10 to 20 minutes and teach him a better understanding of the passage of time. So you can either use an analog clock or timers to monitor homework efficiency. So the last one is forgetfulness. Forgetfulness of previously learned material, daily plans, or etc. So children with ADD class tend to forget things most of the time because of their significant deficit in working memory, or in other words, they have poor working memory. So example of forgetfulness class in ADD children, they losing things, even things they just had a few minutes earlier. Also, missing appointments, dates, and other plans. Abandoning tasks midway because they forgot they were doing it. Also, immediately forgetting something that someone just told them. And lastly, difficulties with recalling specific memories on demand. So those are examples of forgetfulness among individuals with ADD. Class, based on the pictures reflected on your screen, what have you observed? Very good, class, you are right. So, in the first picture, it shows that the boy doesn't want to listen to her mother. And the second picture shows that the boy grabs or pulls the doctor's stethoscope without thinking that he might destroy it. Or the boy thought that the stethoscope is just a toy. So in the first picture, class, it shows that a child has a poor response to discipline based on his response to his mother, and the second one has something to do with impulsiveness. So when we say impulsiveness, class, it means acting without thinking in advance. So since we are done with ADD checklist, so let's now proceed with ADHD checklist. So below are some of the characteristics of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So first is excess motor activity. So as you can see in the picture, class, it shows that a child is extremely active and exert much energy to the point that he climbs at the window curtain and his mother starts wondering and somehow questioning about the behavior of his child. So excess motor activity, class, it means extreme restlessness and a feeling of always on the go. So we can easily spot this kind of children in the group because they are always moving. So based on the given picture, we can easily identify the level of energy that a child who has ADHD. So second is impulsiveness. So as what I have mentioned earlier, that impulsiveness is a tendency to act without thinking. So also, impulsiveness, class, it refers to hasty actions that have the potential for a negative outcome. So for example, in children, running across the street without looking. Also in adolescents or adults, they suddenly quitting school or a job without thought for the consequences. So those are the examples of being impulsive. So the third one is insatiability. So when we say insatiability, it is something to do with satisfaction. So this term is used for children with poor satisfaction control who may be unable to concentrate on activities that are not exciting enough. So insatiability, class, is a part personality. so which you cannot control, and part environment, which you do have control over. So to address this concern, we have to exert control where it is possible. Also, problems with insatiability can be associated with the experience and ease of having things in life. So, class, have you encountered children who have so many interests, like they have so many requests for their parents about wanting this and wanting that, and ask for items nonstop, even if how many times their parents told them to stop, still they continue to ask what they want, and seems that the level of want is not normal anymore. So have you encountered those kinds of children, class? Okay, if not, so having this kind of behavior, class, parents should take direct control for their children. So for example, um, if you are purchasing toys and items for your child outside of holidays or birthday, so you have to begin to refrain from buying these items. Instead, start to teach them the value of money, on how to save money, and most importantly, teach him patience. Since you teach him how to save money, and then use his money to buy the things he wants. So, as parents or caregivers, consistency is the key in implementing those rules in controlling this kind of behavior. So, next is poor response to discipline. So, individuals with ADHD class tend to have a deficit in self discipline. So, like they tend to give up easily on tasks, become quickly bored with tasks, display frequent impulsive behaviors, and have difficulty sustaining effort and attention. So the best way to discipline a child with ADHD class is via a simple program of behavior modification, which can be used to increase behavior. So examples of behavior modification are praise and approval, modeling, um, positive programming, shaping, token economy, self-monitoring, and shaping. So those are examples of behavior modification. So next is moodiness. So since ADHD class is a mental health condition that affects the brain's development and functioning. So there are risk factors that affects mood swings in ADHD class. So first is diet. So diet class is when the child, or when they don't get enough nutrition or not getting enough to eat, may experience or may experience mood changes in response to fluctuating blood sugar levels and malnourishment. So second is sleep. So if they are not getting enough sleep, then possible they will experience mood swings. And the last one is substance abuse, like taking high doses of medications. So those are the possible risk factors that affects mood swings. So examples of symptoms of ADHD related mood swings are like fluctuating between having trouble paying attention and hyper focusing on an activity. Also, they are getting distracted easily and leaving tasks incomplete. What else? Feeling upset or angry often, experiencing extreme restlessness and boredom, also interrupting others frequently but getting angry if interrupted. So those are examples of moodiness in ADHD. So last one is sleep disturbances. So ADHD children class are known to be very restless sleeper. So there are lots of factors that affects sleep problems among ADHD. So the first one is circadian rhythm disorders. So when we say circadian rhythm class, it is the standard sleep-wake cycle. So um, if your circadian rhythm is off, then you may have a hard time falling asleep at the standard bedtime, or your sleep may be regularly disrupted with lots of wake ups throughout the night. Also, people with ADHD feel more alert in the evening than they do in the morning. So that is the opposite of the way it is for people who do not have ADHD. So second factor is caffeine and ADHD medications. So like caffeine in soda, coffee, and chocolates, as well as stimulant medications can also contribute sleep problems because these promote alertness in our body and this should be avoided before bedtime. Also, alcohol can make people fall asleep quickly but struggle to stay asleep. Also, other conditions like anxiety or depression can have a significant effect on sleep as well. And lastly, electronics. Electronics are somehow contribute and affects the sleep problems among ADHD since um, it will mess the ability to fall asleep and stay asleep, like too much time on smartphones, playing video games, or watching television in the evening. So this will this electronics class can also contribute to the sleep problems among ADHD. Now, let's proceed to informal evaluation. So, it is important to solicit information and observations from the other adults in the child's life who works with him or her in both an academic and non-academic setting. So, in order for the parents to assess the behavior of their children or to determine if their child has a focusing issue, then they have to seek information and observation from teachers or adults who are attending their child when it comes to academic and non-academic setting. So also, it is important to differentiate between a child whose main problem is focusing from a child who is exhibiting task avoidance because of academic struggles. So when we say task avoidance class, it means to escape or avoid a specific activity that they perceive as aversive. So aversive means meaningless or boring or non-functional. So while having difficulty in focusing does not attend to orally presented information enough to participate well in the ensuing discussion. So again, class, the difference between the two is that task avoidance means escape or avoid boring tasks, while difficulty in focusing does not attend to orally presented information. So I have here two situations, class, and all you have to do is to identify whether it shows task avoidance or has difficulty in focusing. So first situation, if your child's Sunday school teacher says that he or she listens attentively to lessons and participates lively in the discussions that follow, but gets silly or doesn't complete assigned worksheets, Is it task avoidance or has difficulty in focusing? Okay, very good class. It is task avoidance since he or she listens attentively but suddenly did not finish the task. Maybe he or she find it boring. So how about the second one? If your child's karate teacher says that he needs to continually redirect your child's attention during lessons, so what is it, class? Okay, you are correct. It is difficulty in focusing since the karate teacher needs to continually redirect the child's attention, so that means that a child has a focusing problem. Now, how can you determine if your child has a focusing issue? So first, refers to checklist. It means ADD and ADHD checklist as your guide in determining the behavior and characteristics of a child having a focusing issue. So the second one is sick pediatricians can help decipher the observation you have of your child. So when we say decipher class, it means understanding, interpreting, or identifying. So pediatrician will provide comprehensive assessments of learning, concentration, and behavior for your child in identifying any areas of strength or difficulty. So pediatrician also perform cognitive and learning assessments like QAEGs, QAEG's acronym for quantitative electroencephalogram. So it is used to determine how specific parts of the brain are currently behaving or reacting to stimuli. So second is computerized medication testing and psychological individual and group intervention. So those are the cognitive and learning assessments performed by pediatrician. So the third one is Connors Behavior Scale or BASC, acronym for Behavior Assessment System for Children, can be obtained by your physician. So BASC class is used to monitor changes in children's behavior or emotional status, while Connor's behavior scale is a questionnaire that asks about things like behavior, work or schoolwork, and social life, and a tool used to gain a better understanding of academic, behavioral, and social issues that are seen in young children between ages 6 to 18 years old. So and the fourth one is Sunday school teachers, co-op teachers, co-op teachers leaders, and other adults who work with your children. So as what I have mentioned earlier, on how to assess your child's behavior is to solicit information from these personalities who are attending your child's performance because they can help in determining if he or she is experiencing a problem. So now let's proceed to resources for correction. So there are two ways that children who have to expend more energy than their peers to focus can be helped. So first is use compensation, and the second one is employ correction of the problem. So I have here word puzzle class. So who would like to guess the right word reflected on your screen? Okay, thank you so much. You are correct. It is compensation. So on the next slide, we will talk about what are those compensations needed for these children having this kind of disorder. So when we say compensation here, class, it is not about money or reward, but but it is a technique used to correct their behavior. So these are the list of compensations. So first, employ one-on-one tutoring. So children with attention problems class thrive more when an adult works one-on-one with them. So these children struggle to complete work on their own and find the frequent reminders to hurry up and complete their work. So that's why they need one-on-one tutorial, and this ADHD tutors class will provide structure, encouragement, and incentives to students struggling with distractibility and lack of motivation. So, for example, by recognizing the power of encouraging words, so it is very important for them to become motivated, as what Mother Teresa says, kind words can be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless. So this means that words of encouragement class will last for a very long time, and it promotes motivation, which is good and applicable to ADHD children. So second is choose a curriculum that does not require mainly independent work. So examples of this curriculum class are computer curriculum program or a self-paced program. So under curriculum program is CogMed. So it is a working memory training software program commonly used as a complementary therapy for ADHD. So, working memory helps individuals remember instructions, solve problems, control impulses, and focus attention. So, it is designed to build up that working memory muscle in anyone who struggles to remember information or hold a task in mind. So, self paced or on demand learning is a learning style in which individuals advance through an educational program on their own. So, you may take the same classes as others, but you will progress through the course and complete assignments at your own pace. So this helps reduce feelings of frustration, anxiety, or boredom that students may struggle with in a classroom setting. So the third one is reduce workbook exercises and basic work. So such as copying and repeating math problems, as much as possible, reduce that kind of work for your learners. Since we all know that ADHD children have focusing issue, so it is better to reduce activities, especially in academic aspect, because they easily get boring and need to have frequent breaks. So the fourth one is keep this child close to you throughout the day. So your proximity makes a big difference in the child's ability to focus. So you do not have always have to be interacting with him, just be near him. Even when you are teaching another child, this child can be next to you with his or her earphones on, completing his work. So, sitting in front and away from windows also can help ADHD children avoid being distracted by others, and their focus remains with the teacher. So the fifth one is group assignments. So decades of research have demonstrated that working in small structured teams, that is cooperative learning, is one of the most effective ways for students with ADHD to master the curriculum. So, and kids who learn cooperatively typically make significant social and academic gains. So the sixth one is focus on study skills. So this means avoid multitasking and do one task or similar task at a time. So So, for example, um, if your child is prone to make mistakes when doing math problems, then have him or her mark all the similar problems with red and do them first, since these children cannot perform or focus on different kinds of problems and making transitions, since transitions class requires more focusing power. So doing all like problems together greatly decreases their needs to focus, ensuring few errors on the page. So seven is take breaks. So this means having many little breaks helps these children stay on task. So class, are you familiar with Pomodoro technique? So Pomodoro technique class, it is a time management method based on a 25-minute stretches of focused work broken by 5-minute breaks. So longer breaks, typically 15 to 30 minutes, are taken after 4 consecutive work intervals. So that is Pomodoro technique class. So and this technique also can work quite well for people with ADHD, since they can help to limit distractions, increase motivation, build determination, and improve executive function. So next is involve dad. So assign one subject for dad to do with the child in the evening when he is home. So dads often have a different approach to teaching, and the child gets the important one-on-one time that helps him become successful. So make sure that dad knows the chunking approach and how to reduce mundane repetitive tasks. So example of chunking approach is by giving a child two 15-minute periods to work on something with a break in between. So psychologists call it chunking or breaking work into manageable pieces. So if you're in the middle of a larger task, stop at a specific time and assess the situation. So that is chunking approach. So when we say mundane class, it is an ordinary and exciting things that can cause boring. So all you have to do is to remix boring tasks like setting a timer to take a break. So next is use more right brain strategies. So when we say right brain strategies, it is more on visual and creativity. So for example, when explaining a new concept or showing how to memorize material, you have to make it fun by having your child help you draw sketches with colored markers. So last one is adjust your expectations. So this means that as parents, they should not expect too much or pressure their children with special needs and avoid comparing them to normal kids, since this will create disappointments to their children. Instead, find ways to teach them how to become responsible and at the same time make use of the words that makes them feel that they are not a failure one. So like for example, if you have asked him to do three things and he completed just one and comes to you, think about saying, let's do the other two tasks together. So this takes such pressure off the child and models how to get several tasks done in a row without the feeling of failure. So this child class has a real disability, but because it is not visible compared to other disabilities, they can easily be seen as sloppiness, irresponsibility, or laziness. So another word puzzle again for your icebreaker. So who can guess the right word reflected on your screen? Okay, that's right. It is corrections. On the next slide, we will talk about what are those corrections needed for these children having this kind of disorder. Corrections. So first is medications. So there are three kinds of medication that helps the child to focus. So first is serotonin boosting medications. So serotonin class is a neurotransmitter that mediated satisfaction, happiness, and optimism. So also it regulates behavioral domains of hyperactivity and impulsivity in ADHD. So examples of serotonin boosting medications are Ritalin, Concerta, antidepressants. Also, stimulants. So stimulants have a calming and focusing effect on individuals with ADHD. So they are prescribed to patients for daily use and come in the form of tablets or capsules of varying dosages. So example of stimulant medicine is Adderall. So third is dopamine boosting medication. So dopamine allows us to regulate emotional responses and take action to achieve specific rewards. It's responsible for feelings of pleasure and reward. So example is Strattera. So most homeschooling parents are not interested in the use of medications to help their child to focus since they are afraid of the side effects caused by medicines. But still, parents must weigh the potential benefits against the potential risks before deciding whether or not to use medications. So second is diet. So some of the diet recommendations that seem to be the most effective for children who have difficulty focusing and controlling moods is to reduce sugar intake. So it is the hidden sugars that get us in trouble, such as the sweeteners in fruit juice, chocolates, and many more. So third is increase raw fruit and vegetable intake. So researchers have found that eating more fruit and vegetables may reduce inattention in children with ADHD as it gives nourishment and supplements in our body. So next is use less processed food. So ADHD was positively associated with unhealthy dietary habits, including a higher consumption of refined sugars, processed food, soft drink, instant noodles, and a lower intake of vegetables and fruits. So parents with ADHD children must avoid processed foods like bacon, pizzas, burgers, since they will contribute negative effects on memory, learning, and attention to ADHD children. So last one is increase water intake. So staying hydrated supports your brain health and improve brain functioning. So according to a 2018 study published in the World Journal of Psychiatry, so people with ADHD are prone to dehydration due to hyperfocus, forgetfulness, and lower self-awareness. Also, stimulant medications can also lead to dehydration, and stimulant is one of the medications used to lessen the symptoms for ADHD. So it is very important for them to increase their intake of water to keep them hydrated. That would be all for learners with difficulty remembering and focusing. I hope you learned something from our discussion. Thank you so much for listening. And now I will give the virtual floor to Teacher Faith to discuss the remaining last topic, which is the learners with difficulty with self care. Teacher Faith, the floor is all yours.
Okay, so that was impressive, Teacher Christy. So this time, we will move on to the learners with difficulty with self-care. So everyone, what do you think is self-care? Jeff G, please pass the virtual ball. Right. Yes, Daisy Ann. Okay, that's right. So self-care are the everyday tasks or the activities or the daily activities living, and this includes eating, cleaning, cleaning your teeth, brushing your teeth, dressing, washing hands, taking a bath, and so on. So these will not be successfully done without the help of adults for younger kids. And the moment they grow up, they are expected to know and master what to do in self-care in their own. In other terms, so they develop what? They develop independency. Okay, so Daisy Ann, pick a letter. Alright, M, let's hear with Messel. So Messel, why are self-care skills important? Very good. It is to develop and aim for a healthy living so that children may develop the ability to plan, organize, sequence task performance, and refine physical control where they can use their body with control on their own. This includes opening pencil case, writing, drawing, painting, etc. So, in many cases, it becomes inappropriate for others to assist for some tasks. It is depending of the age, of course. So, like some schools or preschools specifically, children are required to be toilet trained before starting at their center. So, there is a need to practice or train prior to what to do. Otherwise, they may experience bullying or they may not attending to gathering because they cannot control their poop. So many experiences would be missed out, of course, because they know they can create a mess. So there is a need to know about this, and consequently, we can avoid the unnecessary. Alright? Do you understand, class? Really, Kristan? Okay, so let's move on. Michelle, kindly pick a number two. Right, so we have Katrina. So, Katrina, what are the building blocks necessary to develop self-care skills? Very good. So, building blocks to develop self-care skills are first hand and finger strength. Okay, so children here have the ability to exert force against resistance using the hands and fingers, of course. So, like in the example here, pressing the clay. Okay, so second, hand control. They develop to have an ability to move and use their hands in a controllable manner, like using scissors properly. Alright, so third, sensory processing. It is where the accurate registration, interpretation, and response to sensory stimulation of their environment, of course. Like if there is something funny, um, the sense of being funny registered in their mind and they do laugh or understood the atmosphere. So fourth, object manipulation. This includes to move pencils and scissors with control. So the use of everyday tools such as toothbrush and all. So, yes. So there is a manipulation of these things like what you see in the picture. The boy is assembling, no, the Legos. Any questions in the slide? Okay, none. So let's proceed to next slide. To continue, expressive language is counted in developing self-care skills as well. So it is something to do with expression and the use of language. For example, something tells her a shocking experience and the kid's face will be shocked, and it is somewhat the alternative of saying I am shocked, like that. So next is planning and sequencing. So it is about sequencing or planning tasks to be done or a specific task to be done. In brushing your teeth, for an instance, it needs step by step for us to brush our teeth properly, and or putting a short. So first, we must face your shorts the right way. Then hold on to the front of the waistband, and then second, push one leg at a time through the leg holes while also holding the shorts. Then fourth, pull the shorts up. So that's an example of planning or sequencing tasks. Okay, next building block is what, Aljen? Alright, receptive language. It is about understanding on how to solve a situation in a form of understanding. It is about comprehension of knowledge or comprehension of language. Last but not the least, building block is compliance. It is where to follow simple rules or simple adult directed routines. No, it doesn't demonstrate avoidance behavior where the child simply doesn't want to do it because what to do and interrupting what they were doing. That is why some child is not in the mood if the adult is much demanding in this era. So any questions or clarifications in the building blocks to develop self-care? Okay, none, so let's proceed. How can you tell if the child has problem with self-care skills? So any volunteers? Yes, Kim Joy, that's good. They will be dependent, no? So their dependency is not necessary. I meant, it is not about laziness, but they are struggling good. Like they take longer to sit up, they take longer to walk, crawl, and talk. They have difficulties in reasoning, planning, judgment, and abstract thinking. So they might be dependent in some aspects like in toilet, no, they get dressed or refusing to eat certain foods, be unable to feed themselves independently and others. So they most likely to show limited motivation for independence and self-care, so they wait for adults to do it for them instead. Okay, so what other problems can occur when you see difficulties with self-care skills? Kindly call a friend, Kim Joy. Oh, Kristan, so kindly answer the question. So this serves as a continuation in the last side, no? So yes, that's correct, Kristan. It has something to do with dependency in some aspect. They are struggling to follow instructions, eating, hard time to sleep, receptive language or the understanding of language may have some conflict, and then we have dressing and dressing. They are struggling to go where and in what order to get dressed, even their age is already appropriate to get dressed by themselves. Next is social skills. They have a hard time adjusting in social norms and engaging other people verbally and non-verbally. Then, fine motor skills. It is where the small muscles about like fingers and hand skills such as tying shoelace, writing properly, fastening buttons and all. Gross motor skills are the big muscles. Okay, for example, by standing in one leg to pull on a pair of pants. Then we have organization. They are chaotic because they somewhat struggles in knowing what materials in need or tasks to do or even packing their things in school. So another, we have learning new tasks. They are not into multitasking, no? So they have to retain that infos for the next day, for the next time the task is done again. And lastly, executive functioning, where the higher order reasoning and thinking skills happen. So that's it for this slide. Let's go to another one. All right. So how can you tell if the child has problem with self-care? Okay, kindly pick a number, Kristan. Alright, 10 is Sanelo. So, Sanelo, what can be done to improve self-care skills? Alright, now idea, please call a friend. Hannah. Alright, thank you, Hannah. So learners must have visual schedule of the steps involved, right? So reward chart, this is for independent completion of tasks. And then small steps. Self-care must be done breaking down into smaller steps and supporting them through each step so that they can do more for themselves in time. Then routine. This is a great help to it is great to help them learn faster by using the same routine and strategy in making or creating something each time you complete the task. And you should be consistent with the words or actions you used for the child and keep instructions, no, keep instructions short and simple, and then ensure enough time for them to participate in self-care activities without being rushed, like for example practicing to get dressed in weekend so that they can easily dress before going to school in weekdays. Are we clear? Okay, so you can use these techniques how to assist your sibling or someone you know. Alright, class? Right, so let's get back to you, Sanelo. Kindly read the question and share with us your opinion in this question. Thank you, Sanelo. That's one. Taking care of others. So yes, activities to be done to improve self-care skills or practicing doing small tasks every day, as it is easier to learn new skills in smaller sections. So have your child to observe other family members performing everyday self-care skills like combing their hair, washing hands, brushing teeth, and so on. Then by role play, as if he or she will take care or take good care of his or her teddy bear by brushing their teeth, combing doll's hair, or like that. Yes. And so they can apply it for themselves after. And lastly, timers. It is to indicate how long they must tolerate an activity they may not enjoy, like brushing the teeth. They may not enjoy like brushing the teeth, so it needs timers because others may get bored easily and they will not be able to clean it properly. So it is better to set the time. So that's all for this slide or the activities. Any questions? Okay, none. So let's move on. Why should seek a therapy if there is noticeable difficulties in self-care skills? So anyone? Yes, Zandra? Yes, so it is important as knowing academic skills, not merely just life skills. If performed incorrectly, it may lead to distortion or bad habits may reinforced. So we need to support children in their own for them to have independency as they grow older. If left untreated, what can difficulties with self-care skills lead to? Yes, VB, lead to dependency, alright, it can lead to reluctancy as well. So attempt such self-care skills and it can direct onto the impact of academic tasks. Then there is more difficulty in resolving the difficulties that it becomes harder to change. So yes, just like what Bibi said, dependency. They will always rely, no, always rely upon an adult helper. So the more mag-anad sila or they get used to it, they become dependent. When the class or when the helper, when the helper is not there, behavioral changes occur. They might have tantrums or whatsoever. And lastly, gap awareness between the children and their peers increases, resulting in lowered self-esteem. This is a difficult cycle to break. So the earlier it is resolved, the easier it is to make forward progress. Am I understood? Alright, let's move on again. So Vivi, pass the ball. Yep, Jennifer. So what type of therapy is recommended for self-care skills difficulty? Alright, health therapist? It is more to that. Okay, yes, Kanyete. Alright, occupational therapist? Alright, so thank you to the both of you. If the child has difficulties with self-care skills, it is recommended to consult an occupational therapist. So counseling counseling here may involve and many more to improve self-care skills. Does anyone have questions? If none, let's have the concluding activity for this day. That is called stoplight. So this serves as your exit ticket for us to evaluate what you have learned today and who might need some extra support. In a one half crosswise, kindly write the word red, and after the word red, you will say something you found difficult about overall lessons in Unit 4. So yellow, about something you learned from the discussion, throughout the discussion from day 1 to 3. So green, on the other hand, is about something you already knew before the lesson was being discussed. So it is your prior learning. Am I understood? Okay, very good. So take a picture of your answers and kindly send it to me within this day. Okay, am I clear? Alright, so then to end this session, let's have a quote first. This serve as your exit letter. Alright, so a little progress each day adds up to big results someday. So that would be all. Thank you for watching, and I hope you will apply your meaningful learnings today. Goodbye, everyone.